Before we get started, anyone interested in ordering Mr. Lindell's 4-CD set, go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. For those in the U.S., you can order physical copies or the digital downloads. For those outside the U.S., you can order the digital downloads by going to metaphysicalarttheater.com.
How you doing, sir?
Oh, just fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing great. Today we want to talk about be, do, have. What is your experience with being, doing, and having?
Well, actually, quite well at the time, but I didn't always. Actually, there's a very simple way to make the contact that you desire, and that is contemplation and meditation. And if you'll do so, if you'll take the time and invest the time in yourself to do so, you'll find out that it is for you. It is working for you if you're working it. And all you have to do is focus on what it is you want to accomplish. And that's very difficult to do for a long time, isn't it?
It is, and you said something, what it is that we want to accomplish. And the first thing we have to do is decide what it is that we want to accomplish, because many people never get to that point.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You have, the desire has to be there.
Yeah.
You have to want this, to do this. And if you want it, you can do it because you were told by God to do it. So therefore you can do it. But it takes the discipline to actually sit down and think for yourself. A lot of people claim they're doing that, but, I find that very few people are actually forming their own ideas in their head. They're taking too much of other people's opinions, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and you said that you find that there's very few people who actually do it. And it says that many are called, but the chosen are few. Very few. And that's with any endeavor, no matter what it is, whether you're talking about technology, whether you're talking about spirituality. The masses tend to understand the basics, but very few take and apply the application.
Yeah, well, that's what's necessary.
Yeah.
If you want any results, you have to participate, and it is a first-person, present tense experience. If you'll do so, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and that's where most of us get stuck, because we're always, like you often say, waiting on somebody to do for us what we must do for ourselves.
Yeah, everybody knows that, really. Or at least they're suspicious of it.
Yeah.
But actually do it and see what the results are, because it's always up to you. We can give you information, but it has to be done by you, the individual. And it is for you, the individual. It's not speculation. It's not theory. It's you actually feeling what you're doing. That's it, isn't it?
It is it, and a lot of times a lot of people want techniques, but you gave them the technique, feeling it real, feeling as if the thing that you desire is already your reality.
Yes, and it is. See, that's the thing is, it is your reality, but you have to claim it. See, that's the problem is that this is all yours, the whole show. But you have to claim your position in the show. And if you don't, then the show will claim you and give you what to do. So you're either choosing or you're being chosen for. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
It is, and, you said you have to claim it. And today's talk really is about that. When we're talking about be, do, and have, you have to get into the state. As Mr. Lindell just stated, you have to claim what it is that you desire is already being yours. And I know that so many people struggle with just this aspect of, they're struggling with finances, they're struggling with health, they're struggling in relationships, and primarily because they haven't claimed what they desired as being their own and begun to live out or live from that claim.
Yes, that's it. That's it. The claim. You have to claim it. Everything is up to you to claim it. And the thing of it is that you're claiming a lot of things unaware that, and you're unaware. That's just it. And then when they happen, you're saying, why me? Why this? Why now? But it all comes out of your mouth or your self-talk. And if you'll just watch those and tend to those and set them straight, you'll be straight. Isn't that so?
It is. You said, the claim actually comes out of each person's self-talk. And of course, we know that self-talk is the byproduct of the individual's thinking. And until that thinking changes, of course, the self-talk is not going to change. But as a result, neither is your world going to change. And you tell people that week after week, but very few get it to say, you know what, now what do I need to do to change my self-talk? So what would you suggest to the person that says, okay, my self-talk is taking me in the wrong direction. What do I need to do to change that?
Just change your self-talk. That's the easy way, is just change your self-talk. Yeah. Because it's as you think you are, you do, you have, you be. And just ask yourself, what am I thinking about? See, you can get, you're told to be in the world, but not to be of the world. And being of the world is paying attention to the comments and to the suggestions of other people without actually discerning it for yourself. See, that's where the problem comes in. You're not discerning for yourself what you're hearing. Is that right?
It is right. And I want to touch on that, the discerning. It says, discern to see if the spirit is, of what it is that you're trying to attract or to draw into your life. And many of us aren't discerning. It's like we'll allow, I remember talking to a minister years ago, and he said, anybody can come up in my pulpit and speak. I'm like, well, what about your parishioners? What about the people that are being taught, being trained by you? You don't mind what's being poured into their spirit. And so many people, whether it be their groups, their relationships, they let anyone speak into their spirit, and then they're wondering why they're dealing with so much chaos.
Yeah, that's where all the problems come from. You're taking other people's suggestions and even your own without discernment. Yeah. See, you're responsible for every word. In other words, every word must be taken into culmination to make up your life of experiencing. So therefore, wouldn't it be wise to, that's what we're here for. We're here to direct our attention. And if you're not directing your attention, look out. Isn't that it?
It isn't. You said something. I kind of want to go back to it. You said, listen, we're taking everybody's advice without discernment. And you said, you added something on the end. You said, even your own. And I laugh because it's so true. Sometimes our self-talk is poisonous. Sometimes our self-talk is taking us in the opposite direction. And often we won't even question our own self-talk to say, is that taking me where I want to go?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, that's the question you are asking yourself, or should be asking yourself. Is this taking me where I want to go? If it isn't, why are you talking about it? Because the talk that you're taking in yourself is being expressed in your world of experiencing. Everything on the without is secondhand. So what you're thinking is all brand new each day, this day. What are you talking about? What are you talking to yourself about? Are you complaining about something? Because you see, here's the thing. If you're complaining, that goes to subconscious mind as your model. And so it gives you more to complain about. It fulfills your model. They don't understand that every word. See, that's That was really a hard one for me. Every word must be accounted for. Every word. That just, it's mind-boggling when you start thinking about it. But then again, it really makes spiritual sense, doesn't it?
It does. And I'm glad that we're talking about that. First of all, you said everything on the without is secondhand. For those who may not
Yeah.
understand what's being said, let me just kind of expound on it quickly. At first, as Mr. Lindell will often say, and it took me some time to catch this, but he says it's first new as ideal. Then it's expressed secondhand on the without. So what we're saying is that when you think a thought, that's the new thought. But that new thought then takes on a form of its own, and it's expressed in your world as what Jesus called fruit, or the manifestation.
Yes. When you're alone and you're talking to yourself, you think what everybody usually says, well, nobody knows what I'm thinking about. But you see, they don't have to know when you're thinking, but they'll see it eventually in your person, because it's all within before it's without. As within, so without. That's been the message for thousands of years. What you're thinking on the inside is your world of experiencing on the without. Isn't that so?
It is so. Jesus says, what you say in secret will be announced on the housetop. But one of the prophets in the Old Testament said, listen, people are in their private chambers and they're thinking all these perverted things. And they say, nobody knows, nobody hears, God can't even see. And he says that God sees openly. The thing that we're whispering in our mind, the thing that we're contemplating in our mind, as Mr. Lindell just stated, is always going to be, over time, outpictured into our reality.
That's it. It's all self in self. That's it. What are you doing there? Are you thinking on things that are lovely and of good report? I say it. I've said it over and over, but it says think only on things that are lovely and of good report, and that's what you'll experience. But when you throw in negatives, then it all gets fuzzy, and you're not really aware of what you're thinking about unless you are aware of what you're thinking about. But that takes your presence, doesn't it?
It does. You said even if it's the negative, and understand this, even if it's the negative, it's going to be outpictured. So if you're continuously experiencing negative events and you're like, okay, we'll give you one or two, things happen. But if you're continuously experiencing negative events in your life, at some place along the line, you're going to have to take accountability and you're going to have to say, I am that.
Well, you have to look for in yourself what you really, really want. I mean, it's not like, oh, how about $1 million? It's not that kind of a thing. But that also, if you want to make a mindset for it, then that also is doable. But you see, the thing of it is that every word is doable. It amounts to whatever you're experiencing. And if you're not experiencing what you want, then you're not thinking correctly. And it's very simple to correct it, but it takes your attention to do so. And that what has your attention has your life. Isn't that so?
It is so. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't know how to change my thinking. We have so many free tools out there. And I know that Mr. Lindell may not be acquainted with some of the things I'm going to call, but we got YouTube, we got, Google. There's videos and things that you can watch on various channels and vehicles that are free, that are people are talking positive, and how they've changed their life, how they transformed their life. You can start pouring that stuff into you instead of, the drama media that you're continuously pouring into yourself. And it may not be the drama media. It may be your friends and the people that you're associating with. But if that's what you continue to pour into your spirit, then that's what you're going to outpicture into your world.
That's right. As you think, you are, you do, you have, you be. That's it, isn't it?
That's the message for the day. As you think, you have, you do, you be.
Yeah, that's it. Well, what do you want to be? Have you made up your mind? See, because once you make up your mind, you'll start thinking according to the make up your mind. Are you doing that? Or are you in charge? Or are you claiming? What do you claim? You know, this is your inheritance that we're talking about. And if you're not claiming your inheritance, well, then, you know, you'll just float along, and that's it, isn't it?
It is. You know, you say that one of the things that we have together is a YouTube channel. And so we share those videos that we do, these talks that we do each week. And one of the people on the YouTube channel for, you know, months, maybe even, you know, a year or so, have been going through so much turmoil. And she began to practice these principles. She began to live out these principles. And she wrote me a wonderful testimony of how her life has begun to be transformed and changed by simply changing her mind and changing her world. So she began to be, do, and have. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you know, now I just forgot what I was going to say. No, look, as you think, you are. It's that simple. Keep it simple. You'll remember it. If you don't remember it, then you'll just go on and on and on, because nothing changes until you change. I mean, that's lifetime after lifetime, time slot after time slot. If you don't change your mind, you're not going to change your world. And if you're not happy with your world as it is, then you have to change your mind. And you can do so. It was given to you to do so. So if you don't do so, that's you making yourself. And it says, they themselves are makers of themselves. You're a maker of yourself. God's not making you anything. He made you, and then he gave you choose this day. So it's always up. He's not going to interfere in any way in what you're doing. He's not going to interrupt you, because it is your call. It is your claiming. That's your life, right?
Absolutely. And I want to touch on that. You said something earlier. You said, you know, if you want to change, then you got to make yourself a new mindset. And you've said that in various different ways today. And it's so true. You know, and the thing is, many of us think that in changing the mindset, it's just a matter of thinking. But it doesn't stop at thinking. It really does become a be, do, have. You start being, you start doing, you start having and experiencing. But the first thing you must change is your mindset. And I know many people are facing various challenges. And so they try these principles, and you okay?
No, yeah.
Okay.
No, go ahead. No, I was just going to say that it is always up to the individual. See, it doesn't include anyone else. All your loved ones and everyone is not included in that. That is you. First person, present tense. You're receiving if you're receiving, but you have to claim what you're receiving and do so, be so, have so. You want to know how to do it? That's exactly how. Attitude awareness and imaginational control. If you get these two working in your favor, the whole world will seem to have changed. And it will, won't it?
It will. It will. And I want to piggyback off of what you said. You said it's always up to the individual. Whoever is listening to this message is for you. Now, the truth of the matter is there may be somebody that you know that you love that may need to hear the message, but they may not be ready. So at first, you have to see it for them. But ultimately, for any lasting change, we think that we can do some mind stuff and, you know, see a person prospering and that person not change his or her mind and they begin prospering. You may bring prosperity into that person's life temporarily, but if they don't have a mind shift change, it's only temporal.
Yes, that's it. That's right. And actually, we do it right occasionally, but we don't give ourselves credit for doing it right. Even often, more often would be better, because you're in charge even if you're out of control. Isn't that so?
It is. And I just want to touch on, you said more often will be better. Listen, even if you're getting it 51% of the time, that's better than not.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, so does he, so has he. What are you thinking about? I mean, really, that's really the question, isn't it? What are you thinking about? It's all important, every word of it, because you're going to experience what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. That is what you're going to experience. And someone says, well, I just feel so overwhelmed. That's right. And you should feel overwhelmed if you're not directing your thinking and feeling. That's how you get overwhelmed, isn't it?
It is. You know, you ask the question, it's a simple question, but it's a powerful question. What are you thinking about? Now, many of us are going to dismiss that because it is so simple. But depending upon what you're thinking about this moment, you're paving way, you're building castles into your tomorrow.
That's right. And also it builds confidence. And that's what everyone's looking for, greater confidence. But it's right with you because I am with you. I suffer with you, God says, but you behold me not. He's right there, but all you have to do is show up, is turn to him. He's already said yes. God's already said yes to all the questions and all the wants. He's already said yes, but you have to claim it because it's as you think you are, not as God thinks. If you're thinking as God thinks, then you're okay. Wouldn't you say?
I would say, you know, you said, listen, God is right there. And the only thing you need to do is turn to him. Now, many of you, this may be your first time listening to, you know, one of these discussions. The turning to God is turning to your desire of what it is that you want to manifest and begin thinking from that. As you begin thinking right, living right will follow.
Yes, that's it. It's always as you think you are. If you just keep reminding yourself of that, then you'll start watching what you're thinking. And when you come up with a negative, dispel it. Don't just push it, dispel it. Let it go completely. That's the problem. We hear what other people say, and we don't dismiss it if it's not what we understand. I mean, you have to dismiss other people's opinions unless they agree with what you're thinking already. Because, well, it's as you think you are. That you do, you have, you be. That's the whole story. You want to know how to change things? Just change your mind, change your word. We're told, be transformed by the renewing. See, it was new when you got it, and then you screwed it all up. Now you have to straighten it out again. And you do it the same way you screwed it up. You're thinking feelingly about what? I mean, that's it, isn't it?
It is. You know, you talked about the renewing of your mind, but the renewing of your mind comes back to the scripture says, draw near to God, good, and good, God will draw near to you. Resist evil, devil, error, and it will flee. As Mr. Lindell just said a moment ago, you dismiss, you know, a thought that comes to you. Sometimes a thought can be so outrageous that you will say to yourself, you know, where did that come from? And you'll just not even give it any place. And then another thought will come that's kind of closer to something that you may believe. So you start giving it a little bit more place and a little bit more place. When you to entertain a thought that isn't taking you in the direction that you want to go, you can simply dismiss it by choosing to think another thought. You've been so created that you can only think one thought at a time. So you can think positive, negative, or indifferent. The choice is yours.
That's it. That's what it is. That is exactly the word, choice. You were given choice. Choose this day. And as I've said, it's always this day. So you're always on. As a matter of fact, you're praying ceaselessly. Now, I say that, and people really look kind of funny, and they say, what do you mean by that? Every word. every word that you talk to yourself about and what you say out loud, well, of course, that's usually different, but it's all taken in to make up your world of experiencing. If you don't want to experience it, don't sit and let yourself think about it over and over, because that will be your work. That will be your life experiencing. You're in charge, but you have to stand up and take charge. Isn't that the idea?
Yeah, and you're so absolutely correct. But you stated sometime in the past, and you've probably touched on it today, the challenge that we're all facing is that ugly word habit. We've gotten so habitually into a particular mindset that changing that mindset may not be easy at first, but if you do it 70 times 7, if you start pouring into yourself new information that's leading you to where you want to go. And like I said, there's too much free information out there for you to say, I just don't, have the money or the resources, because there's too much free. Even if you're just listening to our talks, there's just too much free out there not to begin to change your mind and literally transform your world.
Yeah, right. That's it. That's it. What are you actually thinking about? I mean, can you actually ask yourself and be honest with yourself that this is what I'm thinking, and that's the reason why I'm experiencing it? Yeah. And if I think different, I'll experience different. I mean, that's very clearly pointed out in Scripture. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, so does he, so has he. If you just sit and think about that over and over and over a few times, you'll start getting visions. And if you stick with it, you'll see what you're doing to yourself, because that's the one that's punishing you, is you. God's not punishing you. God's not disfavoring you in any way. He's no respecter of persons. He'll answer you just as quickly as he will anybody else. Has God ever healed anyone? Has Jesus ever healed anyone? If he healed anyone, he'll heal everyone if they're choosing the healing, right?
Absolutely. And Jesus would often tell them, he didn't say according to my faith. He said according to your faith, be it done unto you. So we choose, as Mr. Lindell just stated, if we're healed or if we remain the same. It's according to our belief system, that change takes place or doesn't take place.
Yeah, that's true. That's it. In other words, we were given control of our lives, but obviously we're not taking control of our life, because we're not claiming we're in control. We're not claiming that we have confidence. And you do have it if you will use it. And that's it. You have to start using what you have, and then it'll expand and expand and expand. Think only on things that are lovely. I like that one. Think only on things that are lovely and of good report. And I know that you're not doing that now, because nobody is. Yeah. Really. They get it part way, but not all the way. And that's what you want to do. You want to stick with it. You want to have it on mind all day. You can be doing 1,000 different things, but you can still be thinking different than what you're doing. I mean, you can be whistling or singing or something when you're working, so you can also be thinking of things that are lovely and of good report, and that's what you're told to do. Think only on things that are lovely and of good report. And if you do that, you'll see the results of it. I'll tell you, honestly, you'll see the results if you'll be persistent, if you'll be consistent. And I'm not saying all the time, because I know you're not paying attention all the time. I'm aware of that. But you can. More is better, isn't it?
It is. You said, think consistently. I was looking at a video. It was a very short clip, but the young lady, she was a fire person, and she was, very large as a fire person, and she decided that she wanted to lose weight. And so what they did in this very short clip is they showed her before putting on her fire uniform and how difficult it was for her to put it on, and then they showed her after, where she had probably lost 80 to 100 pounds. She had made a decision. She started thinking from that decision. Then she began to be, do, and have. And now she's living the lifestyle. Many of us want to stop at thinking. And we say, you know, if I just think right, then, you know, everything's. Lifestyle always follows what we truly believe.
Yes. Yes, that's it. It's the thought behind the thought.
Yes.
In other words, you understand. There's all, you know, you may say one thing, but you're thinking something else, and that's where the problem comes in. You see, you have to design your self-talk in your favor.
Mm.
If you're being angry, if you're being resentful, you see, being resentful, that's self-destruction. That really is self-destruction. Attitude. Do you know your own attitude? I thought I did, but wow. When I started examining things, I had attitudes I didn't even know I had. Or at least I pretended I didn't have. That happens too, you know. People pretend a lot that, oh, I'm not that way, but then they really know that they are that way, and then they're suffering it. And God tells you, I suffer with you, but you behold me not. He's telling you, I'm right here with you. You wouldn't even be alive. You wouldn't even be if I wasn't with you.
Yeah.
So turn to me. I'll turn to you. And if you'll do so, even for a moment, you'll see it. But it takes seriousness. You have to be serious about it.